Hey guys, today's video is about Frankenstein.
Or how Germans prefer to say Frankenstein.
Firstly, we wanted to film this book review because it's an old classic novel, but also because it has a more serious backstory than most people think.
We had it in class and we all know how boring it can be to talk about books in class if you're really not into reading. So we hope we can present it to you a bit more interesting, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video.
First things first, we want to talk about our structurization. At first, we are going to start with the basic facts of the book. After that comes the author, Mary Shelley, and to continue, we are going to talk about this.
Basic facts.
We personally all have a book by the Westermann Verlag because we aren't native English speakers. And here we can say something to the next point. This Gothic novel was written in 1818, which means that the language in this book is a little bit of old. For native English speakers, this probably isn't a big deal. But for rookies to the English language, we would definitely recommend books in their native language or a book where on the sides some words are explained.
The author, Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley is the author of the book. If you take a close up to her biography, you can pretty much assume that her life was pretty depressing. She started writing Frankenstein when she was only 18. She once spent a holiday in Switzerland, and if you paid a bit attention to geography class, you can assume where all the German influence comes from. But mostly important is that she kept losing her beloved ones like her child or her husband, which kind of leads to the story of Frankenstein. The summary of the book.
First of all, it's very important to clear a few things up. With Frankenstein isn't meant the actual monster in the book or the movies. A scientist named Victor Frankenstein is meant. He is the creator of Frankenstein's monster, who actually has somehow forgotten to get a name. But if Victor Frankenstein isn't also a monster is beside the point of the summarization. But for us it was very important to clarify who actually Frankenstein is.
We try to keep it short, so the story itself isn't chronological told in the book. And in the beginning, there's this guy who gets shelter on a ship because he's almost freezing to death. It turns out that this is the scientist Victor Frankenstein, who is actually hunting someone. Victor even tells the crew that a demon is running away from him. But would you help a person where even a demon runs away from? Well, then the reader gets into the story of the Swiss scientist.
Young Victor starts getting into science after his mom died, and he starts forming his dream, the creation of life after death. As he starts studying science in Ingolstadt, which is by the way in Germany, he's coming to achieve his dream closer. He starts getting criticized for how far he wants to go, but that just keeps him motivating even more.
With all his enthusiasm, he actually brings a patched up corpse back to life with the power of lightning. Victor is so overwhelmed by achieving his dreams that he is actually terrified by his own creation. A monster is created. By many coincidences, the monster runs away and Victor starts believing this never happened and starts feeling better until he gets news from his family and his love Elizabeth.
Trigger warning. Incest.
To keep it short, the monster started killing Victor's beloved ones, so he felt great pain like the author did in real life. Victor, though, keeps the monster as a secret, so even more people are getting punished for murder even though they were innocent. The nameless monster learned to read, speak, stuff like that while it was running away. It also learned how disgusted people reacted to it. Because of its grossness, the monster wants revenge, so it killed a few of Victor's family and friends. After Victor and his creation found a solution, everything seemed peaceful. The deal was that Victor creates a woman, and for that, the monster should let Elizabeth and Victor alone. Victor decides to not create another monster, and as a revenge, his friend got killed. Because Victor didn't fulfill the deal, the monster took its chance and killed Elizabeth, the love of Victor's life, right after their wedding.
In the end, the reader goes back to the setting where Victor tells the ship crew what actually happened to him, and he gives them the mission to hunt the monster for him because he's going to die. The Modern Prometheus. The Gothic novel got the subtitle The Modern Prometheus for a special reason. For those of you who don't know who this Prometheus is, a little explanation. Prometheus is a titan and the son of the Greek god Zeus. His duty was to create humans, but to make them more powerful, he climbed up the Olymp and stole the fire and gave it to the humans. For that, they didn't need to freeze anymore and had more sources to eat, but on the other hand, they started forming weapons out of the fire and started a war. Zeus, the father of Prometheus, wasn't quite happy with it, so he punished his own son. He bandaged him onto a cliff and let an eagle eat out his liver every single day. This was possible because Prometheus' liver started growing all over again every single day.
But now back to Frankenstein. Why exactly is this novel also the story of the modern Prometheus? Well, Prometheus' story is a super old myth, and if you take a closer look to the characters compared to Frankenstein, you can actually see some similarities. Victor creates something with a good meaning behind it. He wants to revive dead people, just like Prometheus. Prometheus wanted to help the humanity with a gift, fire, but both stories turned out horrific. Victor's monster started killing people, and in the story of the modern Prometheus, people started fighting each other with fire.
But there's even something more. We personally also see a connection between Zeus and the rules of nature. Prometheus, who we said is comparable to Victor, betrays his own father by climbing up the Olymp and stealing the fire. And Victor betrays the rules of nature by creating its monster, so we also see some similarities. Our recommendation. Last but not least, our recommendation. We do think that Frankenstein is a great way to find into literature. This is just a piece of art we think you have to read. And for some teachers out there, we had it at school in English class, and we definitely think it's a cool book, and there are lots of exercise to do. See you guys in the next video, where we want to talk about if the monster is actually the only monster in the book, or if Victor can also be considered as a monster.